Good evening, class. Today is Monday. Thank you for joining me for our class today. We have a 60-minute Vinyasa fundamental focus class this evening. And as all fundamental classes go, we are definitely going to take our time to break down the poses and work towards what we're working towards this week. And that is this week our Bakasana crane or crow pose. There are a ton of different component parts and key actions to work on, and we're going to break those down today. We're not going to go into crow pose, but we are going to practice all the different things that we need to be aware and to be strengthened and to be ready to try it. So, as far as today, with our crow pose, it is a arm balance pose, which can really be upper body strengthening. It can really increase your stamina and your focus and really develop a mental capacity to work in towards a more advanced posture like that. And really just allow you to build confidence along the way. As far as props today, two blocks if you have them. If you don't have them, again, they're not necessary, but they will be helpful. Also, um, Lori, I didn't even get there yet. You already knew. But yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about it. As far as locations today, we're gonna hop this week between different places in Greece. I thought it'd be nice. The suggestion from Lori was to let's go to Greece. So here we are in Santorini today. Yes, so it's a nice spot. I've never been. It'd always be nice to go. So if you have been, let me know, Lori, if you have any thoughts or you want to share anything after class, feel free. I'll stay on for a couple moments afterwards. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun with just do a couple different backgrounds today in Greece. So yeah, so have your two blocks ready. Place them at the top of your mat if you do have them. You can also use a couple blocks, books, or larger props. And you may not even need them depending on your capacity, but good to have them if you do. What else? Yeah, as far as crow pose, we're about to get into a lot of what we're focusing on today, and I wrote down maybe like 5 or 6 different things that we're going to go over. We need nice, strong arms. We need a nice, solid core. Shoulder protraction, we're going to do a lot of. That's separating your shoulders actually away from each other. Hip flexion, bringing your knee up towards your chest. Leg abduction, bringing your legs in. That's kind of synonymous with the hip flexion as well. And then really just wrist work. It can be tough on the wrist, so we're definitely going to focus on that today. So I think I said enough. Looks like the stream is good. So thank you guys for checking in. Let's get started on our backs. And just when you're on your back, just have your knees slightly bent. And just gently place your arms down to the side, palms face down. Just take a deep inhale here. And exhale. Just one more inhale. And exhale. I know one of those things I mentioned as far as what we're focusing on today is the core. And a lot of people can get scared by that. So I figure let's just get the core work over with at the start of practice. It might be the easiest to just get through. So let's just begin by hugging both knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins or your thighs. Just give a gentle squeeze here. And once you feel nice and solid with your arms contacting your legs, gently rock from side to side on your low back. Your knees do not need to touch the ground. We're just gently rocking from side to side. This just allows us to wake up that low back, give it a nice massage. Just gently rock from side to side a couple more times. And then stop in the middle with both knees hugged into your chest. Now both arms come around the right knee. Drop the left foot to the ground. Keep that left knee bent. Just hugging that right knee into your chest. And then let's switch. So drop the right knee as you hug the left knee into your chest. Both arms wrap around that left knee. And let's switch. Right knee in, drop the left foot, and switch left knee in, drop the right foot. Now just keep going on your breath. Inhale as you draw one knee in, and exhale as you draw the other. So you may go a little quicker than me, maybe a little bit slower. Just go at your pace. Do one or two each side. And then hug both knees back into your chest. Okay, so if that was enough for you, you can repeat that. Otherwise, we're going to move up, add one level to it. So let's interlace the fingers. Place the hands behind your head so that you're behind your head, just above your neck, so that your thumbs are touching your neck, palms face out. Have your elbows out to the sides, and then gently bring your shoulders and your head up off the ground. And we're going to repeat that same thing. So we're going to drop the right knee to the ground, and then lift the right knee up as you drop the left foot. And just keep going, switching on your breath. These are kind of like reverse crunches. Again, if this ever gets too much for you, just release your back of the head back down to the ground, and you can keep going left and right. But see if you can, just gently hug that shoulder and head off the mat. Just take your time here. Just do one more each side. And then gently release the back of the head to the ground. Release the clasp of the fingers, both knees into your chest. Give a nice gentle squeeze. And exhale. Now still squeeze your legs here. And just as we did before, now draw your head up and your shoulders up off the ground and hug your knees in just a little bit tighter. So this time we're hugging our knees in, but our head and our shoulders are off the ground. Just see if you can feel how your shoulders start to separate slightly here. Just stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Release the feet to the ground, palms down to the sides. So again, that's a core thing from what we need to work on with crow. It's really drawing those knees into our chest, rounding the back and hugging the navel in and up towards that lower spine. So we have one more core workout here. You can either repeat one or two of what we did before, or we're going to step it up one more beat here. So if you're coming with me, clasp your fingers behind your head, just as we have before. Thumbs are touching the neck, elbows out to the side. Now hug both knees into your chest. This time, extend your left leg out, hover that left foot above the ground. And then we'll switch. So now extend the right leg straight, hover it above the ground, left knee into your chest. And we'll switch again, right knee in, left leg hovers, and left knee in, right leg hovers. So you can keep repeating that, or if you want to, last chance to step it up here as you're moving from side to side on your breath. You can lift your shoulders and your head up as you extend one leg, draw the other knee into your chest. Try to really activate those muscles at your low core to keep your head raised. You might start to shake, I know I am. That means it's working though, right? Just do a couple more times, whatever version works for you. And then gently release the back of the head to the mat. Hug both knees into the chest. Wrap your arms around your knees for one more squeeze. Let's lift the head up and the chest up one last time. Hug the navel in and down so you're pressing that low back into the ground. Try to separate the shoulders away from each other and hug the knees in towards your chest. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Release the feet down to the mat, arms down to the sides. All right, that was the hardest part of practice, I promise. All right, while we're here, let's just open up the hips a little bit. So extend the left leg forward, left leg straight, left heel comes to the ground. Flex the left toes so they face up towards the ceiling. Place your right hand on top of the right knee, lift that right knee up, and let's just gently make some circles with that right knee. Yeah, while we're here, we're just opening up that hip socket. Just gently make some circles. You can place this left hand on that left hip to keep that on the ground as you make your circles. Let's switch directions. If you feel like that left hip is starting to come up, just reduce the diameter of your circles here. A couple more times on this side. And come back to center, hugging that right knee into your chest. Now let's switch. So now the left knee comes in, right leg straightens, right heel to the mat. Left arm to the top of that left knee, right hand to that right thigh, and make your circles here. Make sure that right heel is on the mat, flexing those right toes. Couple more times this direction. And start to slow, and you can reverse directions here. Couple more here. And gently slow, hug both knees back into your chest. Give one nice last squeeze here. And exhale. Now we're coming up to a cross-legged seat. If you like, you can roll up and down your spine, holding onto the back of your thighs to sit up. Maybe you cross your legs to come up, or maybe you just let your legs off to the side and you press yourself up. Either way, we're all going to meet in a cross-legged, comfortable, seated position. In your cross-legged seat, have your feet underneath your knees, shins crossed at the middle. Make sure you're nice and comfortable, rooted down. If you ever need to sit up on anything, you can roll your mat up. You can sit up on your block. Sometimes it helps to give a little bit of elevation to sit up straight. We'll be here for a couple minutes, so just make sure you're in a nice, comfortable position. Now place both palms on top of the knees, root down through your sit bones, rise up through the crown of your head, nice long spine. Take an inhale here, and exhale. Now inhale your arms out and up overhead, palms touch, look up. And exhale, just release them back down to the side, palms down. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch, look up. Exhale, release those arms down to the side. Inhale, back up, look up. Exhale, release down to the sides. One more time, inhale, arms up, look overhead. And exhale, gently release those hands down to the sides. All right, we're just waking up the arms here. Now, as far as with the shoulders in our crow pose, they are going to be protracted. That means from the back, the shoulders are actually going to separate. And so we're going to start to work on that the next couple poses. We did a little bit when we were on our back. We're going to dive a little more deeper into that right now. So still warming up the shoulders. Let's inhale the arms up overhead, palms touch. Adding a twist. As you exhale, turn to your right. Release both arms down and outside of your right thigh. Inhale back up to center, both palms touch. And exhale, release both arms to the outside of your left foot. Inhale, both arms up, palms touch. Exhale, turn to the right, release both arms down. And inhale back to center, both palms touch. Turn to your left as you exhale, release both arms down. Inhale back to center, both palms touch. Stay up for a moment. And exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Let's keep going. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, turn to your right to twist. Release both arms to the outside of that right leg. Just stay for a moment here. Now, send your right arm around your shoulder, across your chest, turn back to the center, and then the left arm comes up, palm faces your face. Now you can extend that right arm back out a little bit and just gently draw that left arm into your chest. So we're gently opening up this right shoulder here. So the right arm is nice and straight, both palms are facing back, and you're just gently pulling back here. No pain here. Just take one more breath. And exhale. Release both arms down. Let's inhale, both arms up overhead, palms touch. Turn to your left, exhale, release both arms to the outside of that left leg. Stay for a breath here. And then wrap that left arm across your chest. Right arm comes up as you turn back towards center. Right arm comes up with the right palm facing back. Straighten out that left arm and just gently pull back again. So as you pull back, try to pull back right around at that elbow crease. And we're just gently opening up this left shoulder now. Stay for one more breath. Nice long spine. And exhale. Just gently release your arms. Now we're moving into Garudasana arms here. So there's a couple different variations and we'll step through them. It's really going to emphasize that protraction of the shoulder blade. So it's a really good exercise here. So begin by extending both arms out, palms face forward. Arms are shoulder height. Now wrap your arms around your shoulders with the right arm on top. So right arm is on top as you hug yourself. So here you go. Here's the first version of our Garudasana arms. So right arm is on top and you're hugging yourself. Can you start to maybe feel your shoulder blades separating away from each other? Now you can stay here, or if you want to go to the next step, keep your elbows on top of each other, but release your hands from your shoulders and see if you can bring the backs of your hands to touch. Now, obviously that right hand's going to be a little bit higher than the left, but see if they can both touch here. Now you can stay here, or the last option here is to further wrap that right arm around the left so that the palms touch. Either way, wherever you are, if you're hugging yourself, if you're touching the backs of your hands together, or you're wrapping the palms together, either way, see if you can feel those shoulders separate. Breathe into the back ribs, create some nice space there. Take one more inhale wherever you are. And exhale, gently release whatever version you are. Release the arms out to the side and place them down on the ground. So we're going to do that the other side, but let's switch our legs first. So remember whichever leg is in front, and let's switch it up. Make sure you have a nice comfortable seat. Now extend both arms out again, palms forward. This time wrap your arms around. Left arm is on top this time. So left arm on top, opposite arm, whatever works for you. Start by hugging yourself again. Feel those shoulder blades separate away from each other. Now this is the first version. If you want to go to the next one, keep those elbows on top. See if you can bring the backs of your hands together. So you can stay here, or last version, further wrap so that the palms face each other. Wherever you are, draw the elbows up slightly. Again, it's going to allow the shoulders to separate slightly more, protract. Just stay for one more breath here. And exhale as you gently release wherever you are. Extend the arms out to the sides and release them down. Okay. Now we're coming to a tabletop position. So you can either roll over in front of you or just send your legs out to the sides. Coming into tabletop. In our tabletop, our hands are directly beneath our shoulders. Our knees are hips width distance, tops of the feet to the ground. Just take an inhale here. And exhale. Softly hug that navel in and up. Create a nice long spine. Root down through the base of each finger and each palm. One more breath here. And exhale. Let's add our cow cats. So as we inhale, we're going to drop our navel, tailbone lifts, heart lifts, look up. Exhale as we round our back, shoulders separate into that protraction, head falls. Cat. Reversing that back to where we started. Inhale as we drop our navel, tailbone up, heart up, look up into cow. And exhale as you round your back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy. Okay. Keep going, a couple more on your breath. Just take your time here. And again, notice how when you go into that cow pose, you're again activating that shoulder protraction. The shoulders are separating away from each other. Just do one more each side, and then meet me back in a neutral position. Now, in our neutral position, you can repeat that, or we're going to add the leg to it now. So let's first begin by coming back into our cow, dropping our navel, sending our heart forward and look up. Extend the right leg back, point those right toes. And as you exhale, you round the back, bend the knee comes in towards the chest in your cat. Inhale as you extend, right leg back, arch your back, look up, cow. And exhale, round the back, knee into chest, cat, shoulders separate. Let's do two more. Inhale, arch the back, look up. And exhale, round the back, knee into chest. One more, extend that right leg out, send the heart forward, look up. And exhale, round the back into your cat pose. And gently release that right knee to the ground, top of the right foot to the mat. Let's switch to the other side. So we're going to start by coming into our cow pose, drop your navel, tailbone hard up. Extend the left leg back, point the left toes. And now exhale as you round the back into cat, knee draws in towards your chest. Inhale, extend that leg out, heart forward and up. And exhale, round the back, shoulders separate. Two more times. Inhale, leg extends, heart forward, look up. Exhale, round the back. One more time. Exhale, round the last time into your cat pose. And gently release that left knee to meet the right. Now, from our tabletop, we're coming into something next that's a little different, but I want you to try it. So, begin by bringing your knees in together to touch, and then your toes come in to touch. So we're still in tabletop here, but our knees are touching and our toes are touching. Now, come down to your forearms. So release that left elbow right where your left wrist was, and that right elbow where the right wrist was. Palms firmly pressed down, including the forearms, and those are shoulder width distance as well. So your knees are together, elbows and hands are shoulder width distance, toes are together. Now actively start pressing your toes and the tops of the feet into your mat. Gently start to round your back in your cow pose. In your cat pose. So we're rounding our back like we're in our cat pose, so our shoulders separate, creating a nice long rounding here. Now press your feet down into the mat and see if you can lift your knees off the ground, maybe just an inch or two. If not, just stay in your cat pose here. Otherwise, see if you can press your feet down and lift your knees off the mat just slightly. We're staying for 2 breaths here. One more breath. And gently release the knees down. Just take a breath here. Now keep your toes together, knees together, and just send your hips back towards your heels. Come into your child's pose. So hips back towards your heels. Release your forehead to the mat, but have your arms come down towards your feet. Have the backs of your hands come down to touch the mat, palms face up. Forehead is either on the mat or to a block. Again, don't worry if your hips don't come all the way to your heels. Just make sure this is a nice restorative pose. Now while we're here, just gently rock your forehead from side to side. Just gently rocking. And just come back to stillness. Again, really let your arms just hang heavy here. Make this as restorative as possible. Even when the arms hang heavy, the shoulders are protracting here. So just take a couple deep breaths here in your child's pose. And take one last exhale. Now lift your hips up off your heels, extend your arms forward, lift your forehead up, come back into that tabletop position. Now we've worked the core, we've worked kind of the shoulder protraction. We also need upper body arm strength in our crow pose. So we're going to practice that a little bit today with our side plank. So make sure you start in tabletop. Knees and feet are separated now, so bring them out to hips width distance. And you're going to kickstand this left foot out. So keep the left knee where it is and just kickstand the left foot out to the left edge of the mat. It's going to give you a little bit to balance on. Now extend and straighten that right leg back, curl those right toes under, and release that right heel to the ground. So now you should have your left hand, your left knee, and your left heel all in one line. Make sure those are lined up. Once you have that, bring your right arm to your right hip and see if you can start to open your chest out. Maybe you're looking down, maybe you can look up towards the ceiling. Arm can stay on the hip, or if you'd like, you have the option of raising the arm up in the air. Now we're here for a couple breaths. You always have the option here to stay, or if you'd like, you can raise that right leg up, flex the right toes so they face towards the side edge of your wall. Let's go ahead and add some wrist rotations while we're here. So make a fist with that right hand and just make some gentle rotations with that wrist. Yeah, we're doing double duty here. So arm strength and wrist rotation. Switch directions in those rotations. Keep flexing that foot if you have it up. Otherwise, you can leave it on the ground, pressing down. And gently release that right hand back down toward your hip. And come back down into tabletop where we were, releasing the right knee to meet the left. We're going to switch to the other side. So now we kickstand that right foot out to the right side. Curl the left toes under, extend that left leg back, drop the left heel down. Make sure you have generally a wrist, knee to heel alignment here. Now open up that chest, bring that left arm to your hip to start. You can stay here, that's fine. Or if you'd like, you can lift that left arm in the air, have that left palm face forward. And again, option to stay here or lift that left leg up to hip height, flex those left toes. Let's add those wrist rotations. So make a fist with that left hand and just gently make rotations in one direction. Double duty here, arm strength, and we're just being gentle on those wrists. So let's switch directions in those wrists. Just trying to buy us some time while we hold here. Let's stay for one more breath. And gently release that hand back down to your hip. Release the left leg if you have it. Come back into your tabletop just the way you got out. And just take a breath in your tabletop. And exhale. Now we're going to curl the toes under and bring those toes together again, but keep your knees separated slightly. So this time your toes are curling under. Now, if this is too much for you, you can just modify by keeping your feet on the ground or coming up when you'll see. But either way, I want you to try this. So, with your toes curled under and your toes pretty much together, you're going to gently set your hips back towards your heels, walk your hands back to your knees, and then you start to bring your knees off the ground as you come to sit back on your toes with your heels off the ground. So your torso is up, your knees are out in front of you, nice and bent. Keep your arms on the ground if you need stability right now. That's the modification. Or if you'd like, you can bring the hands up to the center of the chest in your prayer pose. Keep the knees close together for now and try to create a nice long spine. So if you can, make these shins nice and parallel with the mat. Just take a breath here and exhale. Now, wherever you are, see if you can gently separate the knees. So if your hands are down, just be mindful, but see if you can start to separate the knees out. So your feet are staying close together as you separate the knees. And once you kind of go to your capacity, gently release the fingertips to the ground as you come forward. And gently walk the fingertips out a little bit until you can either keep your hands on the ground. If you want to go a little further, you can bring your forearms to the ground. What I want you to focus on here is once your arms come forward and are inside your knees, so make sure they're not outside, make sure your arms are inside your knees. Once those arms come inside the knees, see if you can start to make an engagement and have those knees touch the triceps. So if that means you can come down to your forearms and do it, great. If that means you stay up on your palms or your fingertips, either way, the idea here is to have that connection between the knee and the tricep. Again, something that's crucial for our crow pose is hugging these knees in, these legs in for a hip abduction as we press the triceps out. So stay here, root your tailbone down, create a nice long spine, and hug your knees in towards each other as you gently press your triceps out. Maybe you start to shake here slightly. I know I am. You're isometrically drawing your knees in as you're pressing out through your triceps. Just stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Okay. Press yourself back up, bring your knees back in close together, and begin to straighten your legs as we come into a standing forward fold. So just take your time straightening those legs. Once they're straightened, just separate the feet out to hips width distance. You can place 2 fists in between your feet or your knees just to kind of measure hips width distance. Have your knees bent, and we're in our forward fold here. Going into ragdoll, grab opposite elbows, letting the head hang nice and heavy here. You can stay here in stillness if you'd like, or you can gently rock from side to side. The idea here is to create length in the spine, draw the shoulders away from the ears, just let the head hang heavy. Everyone come back to stillness if you've been moving. Release the hands from clasping the opposite elbows. And we're coming up to stand, but take your time. So let your head and your arms hang heavy. Press down through your feet, spin your inner thighs back, and gently start to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Nice and slowly to standing. You can take your time. Once you've met me in standing, just roll your shoulders up and back. Just roll them out a little bit. All right, so we've already worked on a bunch of our component parts. Let's just start to warm up the body a little bit. So come to the top of the mat, feet or hips width distance, heels behind the center toes. Have your arms down to the sides, palms face forward. Soften your shoulders away from your ears. Take an inhale and exhale. Now inhale the arms up overhead, palms touch, look up. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold, hinge forward into your standing forward fold. Now inhale as you place your hands to the top of your shins and straighten your back to your capacity. Try and have your back parallel to the mat. Your gaze can be forward. Knees can be bent, or you can start to straighten them. Just hold for one more breath here in our halfway lift. And gently bend the knees, exhale, forward fold. Coming back up to stand, inhale the arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest. Let's do that a couple more times. Up to breath. Inhale, arms up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands to the center of your chest and down to the sides. One more time. Inhale, arms up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, flat back, extend both sides of the torso. Exhale, forward fold, knees bend. Press the feet down. Inhale, arms up, overhead, palms touch, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Let's add on to that. Inhale, arms up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. This time, press both hands into the mat. Step your right foot back. Step your left foot back. We're coming into plank pose. Now, we're going to be here for a couple breaths. Again, working on upper body strength here and shoulder protraction. If you need to, you can always drop down to your knees. But wherever you are, see if you can feel that how those shoulders start to separate from each other here. It's that same action that we're looking for in our crow pose. So again, staying for one more breath. And exhale. Everyone drop your knees to the ground. We're going to shift our torso, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat, forehead to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhale, lift your heart up and your chest up into your baby cobra. This time we're drawing the backs of the shoulder blades together, so we're reversing that protraction in this upward facing cobra. One more breath. And exhale, gently release the forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Lift your hips up and back into tabletop. And then lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're here in downward dog for a couple breaths, so if you ever need to, you can just drop to your knees back in tabletop. Otherwise, stay in your downward facing dog. Arms are shoulder width distance, feet hips width distance, heels are pressing back down towards the mat. And you're hugging your triceps in, pressing your biceps out, gently pressing down to the base of each finger and each palm. One more breath here. And exhale. Now inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right, let's come to a wide-legged stance. Feet are about one leg's distance apart, maybe 3 to 4 feet. Have your feet start nice and parallel, heels behind the center toes. Let's work into our warrior two pose here. So start with your hands at your hips. I'm going to start with my right leg first. Let's externally rotate this right leg so those right toes face the top of your mat. Now the back legs, you're going to internally rotate this back leg so those left toes come forward slightly. Bend that right knee over that right ankle. Make sure it tracks in the middle of the foot behind the center toes. And now square your shoulders to the side of the mat. Extend both arms out, palms down, shoulder height. And turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Let's make this dynamic. Let's inhale as we straighten that front leg, lift both arms up, palms touch. And exhale, bend the knee back down to your warrior two. Inhale, straighten, palms touch. Exhale, rebend into warrior two. Keep going on your breath. Inhaling as you straighten. Exhale into warrior two. I love doing this to warm up our hips and also to reinforce just tracking that knee over the center toes because it's easy when we move to kind of get lazy in that front knee. So keep going as you move. Just be conscious of that knee tracking over those right toes. Let's do one more. Inhaling as we straighten. And exhale, meet me in warrior two. Now straighten that right leg again. Release both hands to your hips. Send those right toes forward, starting back to where we were in our wide-legged stance. Let's switch to the other side. So start with both heels nice and parallel. Heels behind those center toes. Now externally rotating this left leg now so the left toes face forward. Internally rotate those right toes. Bend this left knee so it tracks over that left ankle behind those center toes. Now square your shoulders to the side, extend both arms out, palms face down, and turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Warrior two pose. Let's inhale as we straighten that front leg, both arms up, palms touch, and exhale back down to warrior two. Inhale as we straighten, exhale warrior two. So again, making sure that left knee is tracking over that left ankle. Don't want to get lazy here. And the entire time, your shoulders should be squared to the side. So you may start to turn forward, but make sure those shoulders are squared to the side. Let's do two more here. Inhale as we straighten. Exhale, warrior two. One more inhale as we straighten. And exhale back down to warrior two. Now release the hands back down to the hips. Straighten that front left leg. Turn those toes back into hips width distance. Now heel toe your feet in just slightly and leave your heels in and your toes facing out. So heels in, toes out. They're kind of at a 45-degree angle here. We're coming into our goddess pose. So the idea here is we're going to squat down, we're going to bend our knees, but make sure the knees, again, track over those ankles. So here we go. Create a nice long spine, hands at the hips. Start to bend the knees, drop the tailbone, let the tailbone be nice and heavy. And you're going to bend the knees. Maybe you need to adjust your feet as you come down to a little bit wider, a little bit closer together. But you still want a nice long spine here. You're just bending your knees to your capacity. Keep your hands at your hips. You're pressing down through your heels. You should be able to lift your toes up off the mat. We're staying here for two more breaths, just building a little bit of heat. And exhale. Let's straighten those legs. Keep the feet as they are. Now, we have the option to repeat that if you'd like, or if you'd like to advance a little bit more, we're going to add our Garudasana arms, our arms that we did when we were seated. So, if you'd like, extend both arms out, palms forward. Wrap them around. Let's do left arm on top to start. So option 1, you can stay here. Option 2, bring the backs of the hands together. Or option 3, palms come together. Either way, just as long as your shoulders are protracting, that's the way to go. Now gently draw those elbows up. Inhale as you look up. And exhale, gently bend those knees. Come down into your goddess pose. So you're either in goddess pose with or without your Garudasana eagle arms. Again, you have the option to stay here, or if you'd like, we're going to add a forward fold. So inhale as you extend, look up, back bend. And exhale, we're gently folding, hinging forward, coming down about halfway to your capacity. Inhaling back up, slight back bend as you look up. And exhale, hinge forward. Keep going on your breath. Again, you're either staying in your Malasana squat. If you have your eagle arms, you're drawing your elbows up either way. Let's just do one more as we come down. And then inhale back up. Release your arms, straighten your legs. We got to do the other side. So if you want to repeat that, you can. If you want to just come down into your Malasana, or I'm sorry, your goddess pose squat, you can do that. Either way, we're going to extend both palms forward. Now let's bring the right arm on top this time. Hug yourself, option 1. Option 2, back to the hands together. Or option 3, palms come together. So from here, let's inhale as we add a slight back bend. Stay here. Bend the knees, exhale, sit down to your capacity. Again, have those knees track over the ankles. Keep hugging those knees out. And now inhale, back bend again. Draw the elbows up. And exhale, gently round forward. Protract those shoulders. Inhale up. And exhale, round. Either way, we're always lifting our elbows up off our chest here. Exhale as we round. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. Exhale, round and hinge forward. Inhale back up. Last one as we exhale and round. And inhale back up. Straighten the legs, release the arms. Arms down to the sides at your hips. All right, let's heel toe those feet in together. And let's just shake it out a little bit. All right, let's come back to the top of the mat. Feet are hips width distance. Actually, let's bring them to touch. So let's have our toes touch, kind of how we were before when we were hinging back on our toes. So the toes touch, heels are maybe an inch or 2 apart. Arms down to your sides, palms face forward. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Take an inhale and exhale. Come into our chair pose, bend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward, palms face each other. Make sure you can gaze down and see your toes. Take an inhale here. And exhale as you forward fold. Knees can stay bent. Now inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Place both palms to the mat again. Send your right foot back. Send your left foot back. We're in plank again. We're going to hold for a couple breaths here. If you need to, you can drop to your knees. Otherwise, you're pressing down to the base of each finger and each palm. Shoulders start to separate. You're hugging your navel in and up. Staying for one more breath. And exhale, everyone drop your knees to the ground. Shift your torso forward. Bend the elbows back. Lower your entire torso, forehead to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Press the toes and the hips into the mat. Inhale, lift up your chest into your baby cobra, or maybe come to half or full cobra if you want to try to straighten the arms. Half or full. Either way, sending your heart forward, draw the backs of the shoulder blades together here. And exhale, gently release your forehead to the mat. Now we're going to stay here, release your arms down to the sides. Actually, let's release the hands in front of us. And just make a gentle pillow for your forehead. So you release your forehead onto your arms that are in front of you. And bend your knees. Flex your feet so that your feet are in the air. Bottoms of the feet are pressing up towards the ceiling. And just gently rock your feet from side to side. So you're kind of windshield wipering your feet here. Just gently windshield wiper. This will kind of release any little bit of tension in that low back. Just taking a nice little break here. And come back to stillness. Release the tops of the feet back down to the mat. Place your hands back to the side of your ribs. Make sure the hands are below the elbows. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop and lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now, from your downward facing dog, send that right leg forward. Get it there however you like. So your right leg is coming to the top of the mat here. I'm actually going to switch so you can see me. So right leg is at the top, left leg back. So keep that left knee up, but drop that left heel down. We're coming into our warrior two footing here. So we want that left heel down. We want the heel to arch alignment. This time have your right arm to the inside edge of that right leg. This is where a block will help if you have it. So if you have a block and want to use it, place it on the inside edge of that right leg. Place your right palm down, and here we have our knee to tricep engagement again. Lift the left arm up to your hip and start to open up that chest. Now press back through the back left foot. And again, press that knee into the tricep as you press the tricep out. Maybe that opens your chest a little bit more. You can gaze up to the ceiling, stay here, or if you'd like, raise that left arm up to the sky. Left palm faces forward. Stay for one more breath. Keep pressing down through that right heel. And exhale, gently release that left arm down. Curl up on those left toes. Release the block off to the side. Right arm comes to the outside edge of that right foot. Now send the right foot back. You're in your plank pose. Drop your knees to the ground. Shift your torso forward. Bend the elbows back all the way to the ground. Uncurl the back toes. Press the tops of the feet and the hips into the mat. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. Baby cobra or full cobra. Either way, you're sending your heart forward, drawing the elbows and the backs of the shoulders together. One more breath. Exhale, gently release the forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now we're moving to the other side. So in your downward facing dog, we're now going to send that left leg to the top of the mat. If it takes a couple steps to get up there, no problem. Now with the left foot at the top of the mat, we're going to drop that right heel down. And again, we're looking for that warrior two footing again. So those right toes should be slightly forward. Look for a heel to arch alignment with that front to back foot. Again, if you have your block, place it to the inside edge of that left leg and place your left palm down onto the block. Make sure you have that knee to tricep engagement here. And right arm comes up to the hip as you start to open up your chest here. Press back through that outer edge of that right foot. Try and spin this inner left thigh in, pressing down through that left heel. And again, the idea here is to press that left knee into the left tricep as you press the left tricep into the left knee. You can stay here if you want to open your arm up overhead, palm faces forward. We're here for one more breath. And exhale, release that right arm down. Remove the block, come up on that right heel. Left arm comes to the outside edge of that left foot. Send the left foot back to meet the right foot. Drop to your knees. Shift the torso forward. Lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Last back bend here. Inhale as you lift your heart up, chest up. Send it forward. Try to grip the mat. Send your back almost as you're scooting yourself forward. Looking for length here rather than height. One more breath. And exhale, gently release the forehead down. Curl those toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. You're going to stay in your tabletop. You're going to uncurl the toes so the tops of the feet come back down. Send your hips back toward your heels. Come back down into your child's pose. You can release your forehead to the mat or to a block. Just take a couple breaths here in your child's pose. Now, from your child's pose, begin to lift your hips back up. Come up into a tabletop just for a moment. Find your blocks, just have them nearby because we may need them. And now, just come up to where we had it before, where we had our toes curled under at the start of the class. So the toes are together now, the knees are together, and then you start to walk your hands back with the toes curled under if you can. And then you lift your knees off the mat. Have your blocks nearby. And now we're kind of in this pose again. So we're going to work this now into our Malasana squat, which is a good way to, again, reinforce the adduction of the legs coming into the elbows as the triceps press out. So from here, place your arms down, release your feet back, and then lift your hips back up into that standing forward fold. So your feet are together right now. Now, what I want you to do is try to heel toe your feet out almost to the width of the mat. And now your feet, your toes are going to be wider than your heels. So your heels are wider than hips width distance, or almost like shoulder width distance. You're still in your forward fold here, but your toes are slightly wider than your heels. If you have your blocks or whatever you may be sitting on, just place it a couple inches behind your heels here. Now keep your hands on the ground and just gently start to bend your knees and see if you can sit down either on the blocks if you're using them, one or two, or if you don't need the blocks, you're coming down into your Malasana pose. So it's basically a squat here. Now, wherever you are, if you're on your blocks or not, you're going to bring both palms into the center of your chest and see if you can have both triceps wrap inside both knees. Once you have this, see if you can draw the thumbs into your sternum. And again, we're gently pressing the thumbs in as we're pressing the triceps out. Staying for a couple breaths here. If you want to try and remove the blocks, if you're already sitting on them, go for it. Otherwise, we ideally want the weight in more of our heels. So you should be able to pick your toes up here. See if you can pick your toes up maybe. Hi, Coney. Stay for two more breaths here. Again, gently pressing the knees into the triceps, pressing the triceps out. And exhale as you gently release. Fingers come in front of you. Start to straighten your legs. Come back into your forward fold as you walk your feet back into hips width distance. Standing forward fold here. Let's inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Again, your feet are hips width distance. Let's come back up onto our toes, lifting our knees up. Knees are parallel. This time, release your hands back behind you. We're just coming to sit back. So we're sitting back, having our legs come out in front of us. Now, with your legs hips width distance, knees are bent, place your hands behind you, fingers face forward, palms face away, where the fingers are basically right about at your hips. So your wrists are behind you. Now press your feet down, make sure your feet and your knees are hips width distance. Press your arms into the mat, and let's lift our hips up. See if you can lift them up so that they're parallel, your thighs are parallel with the mat. Try to keep your neck engaged. We're reversing what we've been doing with the shoulders, so there should feel nice and good stretch in the shoulders. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release back down. Now we're coming onto our backs. So you can gently hold onto your shins or your thighs as you gently roll onto your back. Keep your knees hips width distance. Walk your feet back in so that your heels are underneath your knees. Now, bring your right foot off the mat, keep that right knee bent, open that right knee out to the side, and place the outside edge of that right knee on top of the outside edge of the right ankle on top of that left knee. Now you can stay here, you can gently press that right thigh away from you, or if you want to amp it up a little bit, you can raise that left foot off the mat, send your hands around your thigh or that left shin. Just give a nice hip opener stretch here. Try to gently place that low back onto the mat. Flex those left toes if they are off the mat. Just one more breath. And exhale, gently release that left foot to the mat. Arms down to the side. Release that right foot back where it started, so feet are hips width distance underneath the knees. And let's switch to the other side. So now bend that left knee and open up that left hip. Place the outer edge of the left ankle on top of that right knee. You can stay here if you'd like. You can lift the right foot off the mat, flex those right toes. Arms can come underneath, wrap around the thigh or the shin. Whatever works for you. You're just gently hugging that left thigh away from your chest. Just a gentle hip opener stretch here. Just one more breath. And exhale, gently release that right foot if it's up. Release the left ankle from on that right knee. So both feet are hips width distance. Now separate the feet out to the width of the mat. Let the knees fall into touch. Arms out to the sides, palms face up. And let's gently rock the knees from side to side. So with your feet to the width of the mat, knees are touching in the middle, you just gently rock from side to side. So your feet are going to stay where they are. The next time your knees are to the right, just let them fall out to the right. Have a spinal twist here. You can stay here if you'd like. Option to place the outer right ankle on top of the left knee. There's a little bit of a deeper stretch in the outside of that left thigh. Try to keep the left shoulder on the mat. Gaze is upward. You can turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. We're here for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the right foot from on top of the left knee. Bring both knees back into center to touch. Feet are still out to the width of the mat, and let's let the knees fall off to the left side this time. Option to stay here or place the outer edge of that left ankle on top of the right knee, just for a slightly deeper stretch in that outside right thigh. Keep the right shoulder rooted on the mat. Gaze is up towards the ceiling, or turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. We're here just for 2 breaths. Now gently release that left foot, gaze is up towards the ceiling. Both knees back in. Now, bring both knees back to hips width distance, feet underneath the knees, arms down to the sides. Okay, so I said we were not going to do crow pose today, but I think we should. I think we should give it a shot on our backs. So here we go. Let's start to finish practice with just a nice little crow exercise, putting everything together on our backs. It's still not easy on your backs, but let's do it. So start by hugging the knees into your chest. Bring the toes together and start to separate your knees out. So keep the toes together as you separate the knees out. Try to keep your low back on the mat. Now, as far as your arms come up towards the ceiling, palms face up towards the ceiling. Now, once you have that, you're going to lift your head up and your chest up, shoulders off the mat, and see if you can bring your knees into above your elbows. From here, press your arms up. Hug those ankles in towards your hips. Lift your chest and your shoulders up and protract those shoulders. Staying for one more breath. And exhale. All right. Hug the knees back into your chest. Wrap them one last time. And gently extend both legs out in front of you. To extend the arms overhead. One last full body stretch. Toes away from the body. Fingertips away from the torso. Stretch from your fingers to your toes. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And exhale, gently release. Let's let the arms fall down to the sides. Palms face up. Let the knees and the feet fall off to the side in our Shavasana pose. Final pose of the practice today. Just release any last little bit of tension you may have. Release any focus on the breath. Just let it be. Eyes can soften or your gaze can close completely. And just begin to bring some awareness back into your body. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can rotate your wrists and your ankles and switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here. Now gently bend your knees as you roll over to one side of your body. Rolling over to one side, let your top arm meet your bottom, and top knee rest on top of your bottom knee. Stay for one last breath here. Try to keep your eyes closed or your gaze softened as you use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seated position as we complete our practice together. Once you're in your cross-legged seat, palms come to the tops of the knees, palms face up, or bring the palms into the center of your chest. Let's take one inhale together and exhale. Thank you all for joining me for practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Thank you all so much for joining me for practice today. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of crow prep or fundamentals, just learning the kind of foundations of the pose. As you can see, there's so much to take into account. I apologize if I went a couple minutes over typical class time today, but I really thank you all for joining me. Yeah, Lori, good job. I was going to ask at the end of practice if anyone recognizes where we are, but yes, we are in Santorini today. So we're going to move to a different location on Wednesday. Will be the next class here on YouTube for the live stream. That will be a level one focus. So we're going to work a little bit more into our crow pose there and then work into our level two on Friday where we'll actually give it a shot. I do have I guess, a bonus teaching um, class this week. Tomorrow, I'll be teaching through Free Baltimore Yoga, their Facebook page. If you find their Facebook page, you can join that class. It'll be fairly similar to today. So if you'd like to take that, it's just another option. That will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. on Free Baltimore Yoga's Facebook page. Otherwise, we'll be back here Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the level one, and then Friday at 7 for the level two. So again, thank you. I appreciate all the comments. Thanks for checking in. If you have any questions, just let me know. Any feedback, anything like that, I appreciate it. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week and peace.